The year is 1942. America is at war, and volunteers from Mount Sinai join the effort.
I was teaching in the nursing school at Mount Sinai, and they didn't want me to go because they said teachers were necessary. But I said sorry.
Lieutenant Kitty Vance is one of over 800 people from Mount Sinai who will serve in the U.S. military by the end of World War II. And one of over 200 Mount Sinai doctors and nurses to staff Mount Sinai's Army Medical Unit, the 3rd General Hospital. In September 1942, the order comes. Proceed immediately to Camp Rucker, Alabama. Established during World War I, the 3rd General was among the earliest affiliated hospital units in the nation. Volunteers continue a tradition of service that began at Mount Sinai during the Civil War and continued through World War II. Doctors and nurses learn to march, live in pup tents, and plenty of things they never learned in medical training. They also develop an esprit de corps that will help them get through the challenges ahead. After 9 months of training in Alabama, North Africa is their first stop. They follow the Allied troops who are fighting their way into occupied Europe from the south. After North Africa, they move to southern Italy as the Allies march on Rome, and then on to southern France, which turns out to be their final destination during the war in Europe. After they established themselves in each location, the hospital personnel set about treating the wounded and the sick. They learn to treat unfamiliar conditions: malaria, post-concussion shock, dysentery, trench foot. They are often working outside their specialties. Pediatricians are treating adults. Dental prosthodontists are creating artificial eyes. Their Mount Sinai training is broader than the general medical training common in the U.S. at that time. It has prepared them to meet these challenges. The 3rd General moves into hospital buildings abandoned by the German military. But living quarters and convalescent wards need more room, so hospital personnel build rows of tents to expand capacity. The 3rd General, with over 2,000 beds, is in fact larger than the flagship institution back on Fifth Avenue in New York. Despite the strain, high standards prevail. A visiting Army major writes, "The patients know they are getting the very best medical attention. In fact, they are fully cognizant that they are receiving Mount Sinai care." And the New Yorkers, as well as the others, know the significance of the name, and in turn, what to expect.
Sometimes you couldn't get all the people you needed, and sometimes you were short, and sometimes you'd think it's 7 o'clock, I ought to be going off duty, and maybe it would be 3 in the morning when you get off. But you had to take care of the patients. Whatever sleep you got or didn't get, that was incidental. And that was everybody's attitude. We were out there to defend our country, and whatever it took, we did.
They work hard, and they play hard. There's the traveling bridge game that started in New York, went to Camp Rucker, Alabama, and then to North Africa. The active social life helps sustain morale. Chief Nurse Ruth Chamberlain reports in Mount Sinai Alumni News, "The marital, as well as the martial spirit, has invaded the unit. VE Day brings a slow winding down of their duties. At home, the Mount Sinai family, despite struggling with wartime shortages, has never wavered in its support of the unit. Trustees and physicians have created a unique fund for the support of the families of the doctors on active overseas duty. And when the 3rd General Hospital disbands in September 1945, the unit comes back to find that Mount Sinai has held a position for every doctor returning from military service.
As the 3rd General Hospital takes its honored place in history, its spirit of service lives on. 60 years after the 3rd General's homecoming, Mount Sinai students and faculty have an enviable reputation for their activism. These heroes of today carry the flag of the 3rd General Hospital into the 21st century.